Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Tessie and today we'll be making this simple gown. It's going to be a very simple and straight tutorial. If you're yet to subscribe to the channel, kindly do that and let's get right into the video. So for this, I'm going to be making use of this Ankara print and I'm making use of just 3 yards. So what you need to do is fold your fabric. We'll be cutting for the front. Now to know the amount of fabric to fold, it's going to be your hip measurement divided by 4. Whatever you get, you add like 2 inches for ease, then 2 inches for sewing allowance. So on fold, my fabric is 15 inches on fold. So as you can see, I'm just trying to check. I have 15 inches on fold. So my hip measurement divided by 4, I added like 3 inches for ease because I want it a bit free, then 2 inches for sewing allowance. So what I'll do next is to chalk my starting point. So this will serve as my shoulder line. So what I'll do is take my shoulder measurement divided by 2. So the shoulder I'm working with is 16 inches divided by 2 will give me 8. So I chopped my 8 inches and from that point I came down to my armhole line which is 9 inches. Then I connected the lines. So after connecting my lines, I'm going to be taking from the shoulder to the waistline. So from the shoulder to the waistline is 17 inches, which I chalked and connected into a straight line. The next measurement is from the waist to the hip. So from my waist to my hip, I chalked 10 inches and I connected it into a straight line as well. So the next measurement is from the shoulder to the length of the top, from the shoulder to the length of the gown. So from my shoulder to the length of my gown is 38 inches plus 2 inches for sewing allowance, which is 40. So I'm just going to chalk 40 inches and I'll go ahead now to connect it into a straight line. So guys, as you can see, I have all my lines. I have my shoulder line, my chest line, my waist line, my hip line, and my gown length. So what we'll be doing next is on the shoulder area, I'm going to be checking my neck measurement, which I'm using 4 by 4. So I'm using 4 by 4 for the neckline. So I went ahead to like curve it in. It's going to be a round neck. So just go ahead, curve in your neckline. After doing that, on the shoulder area, I'll be coming down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. So I came down by 1 inch, as you can see. Then I went ahead to connect to the shoulder. So I'll check what I have on that armhole area. So I have 8 inches left. Divided by 2 will give me 4. So I chopped 4 inches and I came in by half an inch on that point. Then on the chest line, I'll be taking my bust measurement divided by 4. So the bust I'm working with is 40. Divided by 4 is 10. I added 1 inch for ease and 2 inches for sewing allowance, as you can see. So I'll go ahead now to curve in my armhole. So after curving in my armhole, what I'll be doing next is on the waistline, I don't want it tight at all. So from the chest line, I'm just going to connect all the way down to the waistline. Then on that hip area, I'm just going to go from this point, I'm just going to go straight down. So I want it very free. So you can see what I'm doing. So when I'm shaping, I'm just going to shape it straight. So this is what I have. Don't mind how mine is looking this way, but when I'm done, I'm going to shape it straight down. So for the deep neckline, I'm just going to come in by 3 inches or 2 inches, depending on how deep you want it to be. Then you just chalk that point because we'll be slitting that area. So guys, we are done with the front part of the gown. I'm going to cut it out as you can see. So guys, just watch closely on how I'm cutting out my fabric. On the shoulder area, I left half an inch for joining allowance. So I'm just going to slit this part. So go ahead, slit it out just the way I did. So guys, this is what the front pattern looks like. If you open it up, you have something like this. So guys, we'll go ahead now to cut out the back. So for the back, I folded my fabric into two. I won't be adding zip to this, but in case you want to add zip to yours, go ahead, chalk out your zip allowance area and roll it straight down. Then you place the front after the zip allowance. But I won't be adding zip to mine. So what I'll do is just place my front on the back. So I'll go ahead now to place it this way, as you can see. After placing it this way, what I'll be doing next is cutting. I'm sorry I didn't show that part. What I did was just to cut, and the back neckline is longer than the front neckline. So for the sleeves, go ahead, fold your fabric into two just the way I did, and fold it into two again, depending on how full you want your sleeve to be. So I'm just going to be cutting the two sleeve at once. So I folded my fabric into two, then folded it again, that's into four. Then what I did next was to chalk the starting point. So this will serve as my starting point. Now I'll take the length of my sleeve. So for me, I want my sleeve to be 26 inches long. I added 1 inch for joining allowance. That's 27 inches, which I chalked. Then I connected the lines together. So the next thing I'll be doing is carving out my armhole using my free hand. So go ahead, carve out your armhole, then you shape. So for the shaping, you just go down a bit and you give it like an A-line effect depending on how deep you want it to be. So as you can see, I just shaped and I gave it a bit of an A-line effect at the sleeve area. So we are done with the sleeve. I'll go ahead now to cut it out. So guys, after cutting out my sleeve, I notched the middle part of the sleeve, and this is what it looks like. When you open it up, you have two sleeves. So guys, I'll be using a lining for this. So as you can see, I've gone ahead to cut out my lining for the front part. Then when you open it up, you just place them together, right side facing each other. Then after placing it together, I'm just going to be stitching. So I'll stitch off an inch from this neckline all the way down here. Then I'll stitch this other part as well. So I also went ahead to cut my lining for the back. So guys, if you don't want to use a lining, you can go ahead to cut out a facing or use a bias, but I just choose to use a lining for this. So after cutting out my back, I'm just going to open it up and place the lining on the right side of the fabric, place it and run a stitch just the way we did for the front. So I'll be stitching and then ironing. So after stitching and ironing, this is what it looks like for the front. As you can see how neat it is looking. So I did the same thing for the back as well. I've joined and ironed. So what I'll do is join the shoulder area together. So in joining the shoulder area, just open it up, place the fabric together and the lining together. Just place it together this way, and then you stitch by half an inch. So I placed it together, I'll stitch, and I'll also do the same thing for this part as well. I'll place the fabric to the fabric, the lining to the lining, and then I'll run half an inch. After stitching, guys, this is what it looks like, as you can see. So what I'll be doing next is attaching my sleeve to it. So guys, I will not be adding feathers to my sleeve. So what I'll do is just join the sleeve to the dress. So on the middle part of the sleeve, that's the notched part, I'll place it on the armhole area. Then I'm just going to stitch all the way down to the end of this point and stitch all the way down. I'll do the same thing for this other sleeve as well. Make sure the right side is facing each other. Then you place the middle part, that's the notched part, and you stitch all the way down here and stitch all the way down here. So what I'll do next is to join them together by 1 inch. So I'll stitch 1 inch all the way down. So guys, we are done with this, and this is the final result. Mine is a bit longer because I want it long and very free. So you can choose to make yours shorter. It's actually finer when it is short. Hope this tutorial was helpful. Please subscribe to the channel and see you guys. Bye.